Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Welcome, everyone. I'm Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, where we build 5-star brands that people will follow. Our guest today is a true veteran of the executive recruitment world with over 25 years of experience finding top talent for some of the biggest companies across the nation. Jay Reynolds is the founder and president of WolfCreek Consulting, a top-ranked boutique firm specializing in executive search for the finance, accounting, IT, and healthcare industry. With a database of nearly 2 million resumes and offices in South Florida, Birmingham, and West Palm Beach, Jay has built a reputation as the elite Navy SEAL of headhunters. His firm doesn't just fill openings. They are strategic partners who vet candidates intensely to ensure perfect fits for companies in need of leadership that will drive their organizations forward. What sets Jay apart is his focus on personal branding for candidates. He insists on understanding who they truly are beyond just skills and experience. And as he puts it, I want to know what separates you from the 20 million others out there. That powerful differentiation allows him to position the right people in ways that resonate with clients. In our candid conversation, Jay pulls no punches on the talent wars raging across healthcare and technology. He shares war stories of underqualified hires who wreak havoc and the intangibles that elevate junkyard dogs or those with just potential. Jay is a fountain of wisdom for any aspiring executive or entrepreneur seeking to build a legacy career and business. Please welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast, the Boardroom insider himself, Jay Reynolds. Welcome, everybody, to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is Grant McGaugh. We're going to keep it right here in South Florida. We are going to nail down some things around staffing, around executive search. What's happening now in the healthcare realm when it comes to having enough people to be able to do the work. They need knowledge workers. They need people that are skilled, and it takes certain savvy in order to get that done. We're going to talk to Jay Reynolds. Jay Reynolds has been here in South Florida for a number of years, I think since 1998. We're going to have a candid conversation how this is affecting his business and how he can actually affect other businesses that are having these types of challenges. So, Jay, introduce yourself.
Hey, Grant, again, thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm a big fan. I follow your show, watched it, and I'm honored to be included in your show. So thank you for the opportunity to give your audience the opportunity for me to tell my story. So thanks very much for that. My name is Jay Reynolds. I own WolfCreek Consulting. We are a top-ranked executive staffing firm. I have an office in Birmingham, Alabama, one in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and West Palm Beach, Florida. My company's been around since 1998. We primarily place people in finance, accounting, IT, and healthcare. We are an engaged and retained firm, and we do business with some of the top hospital systems in the country, not necessarily just in South Florida or the Southeast, but our footprint is primarily national.
That is good. Now I'm going to go right to what I feel is the elephant in the room. And that is, diversity, equity, inclusion. And we're talking, that's really in the human resource realm about having the right personnel. And they're saying, I don't know what their legislation is, the policies all around it, but I know in Florida they're saying, hey, you can't even say diversity, equity, inclusion anymore if you want to keep funding, from the state. I think the same thing happened in Alabama just recently as well. I want to hear from you, your views on these different things and how it's affecting, and maybe you work with some state and local government. Maybe you also work, and I know you work with a lot of enterprises across the nation as well. Give us your take.
Well, I'll tell you that there are two ways to look at this, right? There is the political arena. In the political arena, you have the politicians that are basically saying this and that, and they're running on this whole woke campaign, anti-woke campaign, right? And part of it is just basically to appeal to a certain base, and they're doing that here in Florida. And quite frankly, some of that is working for them as it relates to the way they're approaching raising money for their campaigns and getting reelected, right? That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is corporate America. Corporate America sees this totally different. Corporate America says that, hey, look, we understand that diversity and inclusion in our industry makes sense. We run faster, we jump higher, we have more qualified pool of people to choose from. We make more money. We retain our employees and our professionals much more than companies that are not diverse. We do a better job. We are stronger together. That's what corporate America says. And corporate America is basically saying, politicians, you can do whatever you want with your state legislation. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Disney. Disney is a really good example of that. Ron DeSantis and Disney are in a feud and have been for the last 3-4 years, primarily because of this anti-woke campaign that Governor DeSantis has run on. Okay, not only run in the state, but run as far as his presidential campaign is concerned. But Disney says the reality to that is that we are a better company when we embrace diversity and inclusion, and we will fight to embrace diversity and inclusion, and we will protect it. We will go to court. We will go. We're comfortable being on the news every day because we are going to protect diversity and inclusion. That's a really good example of what corporate America is saying about diversity and inclusion versus what politicians are saying. So, yeah, we have got to be intentional. We have got to continue to tell this story. We've got to be intentional as far as the process of recruiting and retaining employees in corporate America, because they certainly see that as important. I believe that things travel in cycles, and I believe that at some point in time, politicians are going to get tired of conventions being canceled and pocketbooks being impacted by not embracing diversity and inclusion. And that's what's happening in Florida right now.
That's so important. And you can't just take a whole group of people and put them to the side. I think that impacts a lot of people when they think through that. I've talked to so many people, even outside of my own state, and I tell them, hey, you come here, you're going to go to the beach, you're going to have fun. They're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go to Florida because of this and that. And I'm like, wow, we're getting that reputation, even though in South Florida, it's very diverse. It's a completely diverse population of people in a number of different ways. But let's talk about the biggest problem now, like in healthcare and in some of these other areas, these other industries like information technology. We talked about finance. It's the fact that there's staffing shortages. We don't have enough people to do the work, or we don't have enough qualified people to do the work. You've got the great resignation that's happening. You've had a lot of baby boomers leaving the workforce in droves because they can. They're at that point. They've done their job, but have they handed down the knowledge? So there's a vacuum of knowledge or lack of knowledge that's happening in the workforce. How is WolfCreek Consulting handling this particular dilemma?
I got to tell you, I could not have, laid that out any better than you just did. I mean, there's a shortage of skilled professionals out there for sure. And it's a persistent shortage. And it's being driven by those two things that you just talked about. Baby boomers, most importantly, they are creating a vacuum of knowledge and these specific skilled areas that we just can't keep up with, right? We can't keep up with them. And also, as it relates to the other thing that you mentioned is that the great resignation where these, even the millennials or the Gen Xers are saying, hey, look, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. Whereas they would have worked in a corporate environment and gone up through the ladder as it relates to those organizations. They're not doing that anymore. They're starting their own businesses, creating their own businesses, and they're doing other things. So not only is there a shortage of these skilled professionals, which is really persistent, these people are becoming in higher demand. Why are they in higher demand? Purely because of the change of technology, the pace of healthcare technology changing, the availability of more different medicines, the aging population, right? So we need more people to take care of our aging population, and people are living longer. Before, 20 years ago, somebody was living to 65, 70 years old. That was a long time. Now people are living to 80, 90, 100 years old on a routine basis. That's because of medicines. That's because of treatments. That's because of the fact that there's just, more opportunities for folks to live, live better lives, right? What comes along with that is a demand for the demand for the staff to be able to make that happen. And quite frankly, I don't see that going away anytime soon. You asked the question, how are we doing? How are we doing that? We are a traditional staffing firm, meaning that companies bring us in to find specific people with specific skill sets. We're recruiters, we're headhunters, which means that a company tells me, hey, look, Jay, I'm looking for a chief nursing officer with 10 years experience that has done XYZ. My job is to go out and find that person. And that's exactly what I do. We go out and find people that are passive job seekers or people that are actually looking for positions. We vet them, we bring them into the conversation, and our clients have the opportunity to be able to make a decision about hiring that person or not. It alleviates the pain for them of posting ads, getting 100 resumes of people that don't fit the job in any way, shape, or form. But we narrow that down to 4 or 5 candidates of people that absolutely can do the job, and the company can determine whether or not it fits their culture. It's very competitive. It's a very competitive marketplace.
Well, talk to me about the process of working with WolfCreek. I'm curious about this whole thing, executive search firm. So if you are a current executive, maybe you're in HR, maybe you're in operations, or maybe you're the CEO of a company, you're looking at your particular staff that you have today. You've got some openings, or some openings are coming open, and now you've got to fill those seats. Why would somebody work with WolfCreek as opposed to another firm? What's the advantage?
That's a really good question, Grant. And I will tell you this. There are a couple of things that I like to say. Okay. There are very large staffing firms out there, the Korn Ferries of the world, the Struggles of the world, very large staffing firms out there that are national in scope. And I like to call them the Army. There's the Army. And then there's the Navy SEALs, right? We're the Navy SEALs. The difference between doing business with us is that you get a boutique firm that will treat your business like it's very important. You get to deal with the decision makers. You get to be able to communicate with the decision makers in real time. And that's, quite frankly, not something that you're going to always get with a very, very large staffing firm. We're definitely a boutique, and we're definitely the Navy SEALs versus the Army. And you get that kind of attention You get that, basically, I tell people all the time is that the only time you really can't talk to me is that if I'm in a Saints game. If I'm at a New Orleans Saints game, probably not call me because it's not a good time. but other than that, 24/7, you can call the president of WolfCreek Consulting and you can talk to them if you have an issue or concern. That is the difference between my company and some of the largest staffing firms out
there. I like that. I like it. Accessibility is big, especially if you're going to fulfill a very important position within the company. You got to make sure that you've got the right firm, you've got the right person. You're going to ask a lot of questions. I want to ask you this, because I'm in the personal brand space. When you start looking at a individual candidate's brand, one of the things I've been telling a lot of people is that, okay, you have a resume, you have a CV, you have a LinkedIn profile, but that puts you in a pool of people of maybe only 200 million or something like that. How do you differentiate yourself? And I always talk about having a brand, approach to brand, something that's going to get Jay's attention, because if his job is this, let's say it's a healthcare firm, say, Jay, I need you to go out and find me chief nursing officer, COO, or a director or that, and I don't want to go through hundreds and hundreds of resumes. I want you to do it. Now you got to go out and do it. How do you then find those candidates? And do you see a person that either their brand sticks out to you, something that differentiates them that may be a good fit for this organization?
Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, we have the luxury of having done this for 25 years, right? I have almost 2 million resumes in my database, almost 2 million resumes in the healthcare, finance and accounting, IT field, which means that there are people that I have built relationships with or know over the course of years and years and years, and in many cases have provided a lot of advice to them as they've kind of matriculated through their careers. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. Because of AI over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, AI has really changed the look and feel a lot of times of some of the written communication that we see out there, i.e. resumes and LinkedIn profiles or whatever. The one thing that I would caution people about or give them advice about is avoid word salad, avoid resumes that look like word salad, because I'll tell you what's going to happen is a guy like myself that's done this for a long time is going to look at this resume and say, hey, look, this resume was AI generated. I'm not interested. I mean, they weren't intentional enough to write a real resume to let me know exactly what it is they did. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you did. And I want to know what separates you from the 20 million other people that you mentioned. And that is written by that individual who understands their background and understand their experiences, and they're able to put that on paper. I can't tell you how many resumes I see today that are word salad that are just hung together with twin stick and tape and glue and all of that kind of stuff, and it makes absolutely no sense. And a guy like me just flips right past that, right? So I would just say be very intentional. Take the time to write the resume to really articulate who you are and what you've done.
I second that. I think that is so big. AI can be used for certain things that can quickly get you, it really like a template. Send an email to somebody, sure. I need to put a template, I need to get me going. Everybody has a writer's block or anything like that, but you've got to still massage it, and you've got to have to customize, you've got to put your particular spin on different things. And what I heard you just say, if you just give me some generic AI generated blob of information and I look at this and I'm like, there's no life here. There's no life force here. There's no story. I tell people all the time, you've got to have a story. Anybody's going to have a laundry list of jobs that they had. But does that really tell you what you did in those positions? Does it tell you how you accomplished different tasks and how you overcame challenges. How did you get like, oh, you know what? I generated $5 million in sales, if that's really the case. Like, great, well, how did you do that?
Yeah. And how are you ranked? You generated 5 million, but the number one guy generated 500 million, right? So what does that say? You need to know. We need to have some kind of appreciation for what that 5 million represents. Did it put you in the middle of the pack? Put you in the back of the pack? Did it make you the number one sales guy in your region? All of those things are just really, really important. And I think it's really important to the point that you just made of creating stories. People, if everybody says I'm detail oriented, I'm hardworking, I'm a quick study, all of that stuff. But when people tell stories about who they are and what they've done and how they've overcome things and how they've created something from nothing, that's what's compelling. That's what's compelling. And that's what a guy like myself is not only looking for, but looking to have a discussion with his client to say, okay, this is why you need to take a look at Grant. Grant's done this, and this. This is how he's ranked. These are some of the things that he has overcome in his career. And this is why I believe that he would actually add value in your organization because of what he's done.
Ready to elevate your brand with 5-star impact? Welcome to the Funnel Brand Podcast, your gateway to exceptional personal growth and innovative business strategies. Join me as I unveil the insider strategies of industry pioneers and branding experts. Discover how to supercharge your business development, harness the power of AI for growth, and sculpt a personal brand that stands out in the crowd. Transform ambition into achievement. Explore more at firestarbdm.com for a wealth of resources. Ignite your journey with our Brave Brand Blueprint and begin crafting your standout 5-star future today. Man, I want my audience to really listen to what you just said. You want Jay to be your brand ambassador for this new opportunity at this institution. Let's say it's an healthcare institution. You want him to sell you to them. So you've got to sell him on who you are, what you've done. And remember, he just said he has a database of 2 million resumes. So he's got people he can tap like, hey, you know what? I know that. So if Jay doesn't know you, you don't stand out, and you're just a lily in the field of lilies. Somebody's got to be a rose out there so he can see you and then give him enough information that he can then sell you to the client so you can get that interview. I appreciate that journey because if I'm the CEO of a particular institution or whatnot, I need to trust you that you're bringing me qualified people and that you've already asked them probably the questions I need to ask them that I need to know. And then now I need to just get familiar, with local channel. Yeah. Grant in. Let's have a conversation. You're pretty high on him. Let's have a conversation because credibility in your game is got to be.
Oh my God. It is paramount. I'm a business partner, right? And one of the things that I tell people all the time, it goes back to what we were originally talking about. I'm not a vendor, right? I'm not a staffing firm. I am a partner in this, right? My job is to make sure that I don't waste the time of CEOs and COOs and CFOs and directors of this and directors of that. My job is partnering with them and making sure that I'm bringing the right people to the table. And we get paid for that. We get paid handsomely for that. So my job is to make sure that I don't damage my own reputation, because what happens is that, bad news travels really, really fast. Good news travels much slower than bad news, right? So you have to make sure that you're not doing something that damages your own reputation. And quite frankly, that is the way that you build relationships over time. And again, I'm not a transactional person. My company's not transactional. We're into building partnerships. And the way you do that is by adding value and making sure that that you do what you say you're going to do. And what you said you're going to do is that I'm going to bring you a palette of candidates that meet your qualifications, that I have vetted, that they are who they say they are. They have the degree that they say they are. They're not axe murderers, you know. and bottom line, they're going to come into your organization and add value, and that's my commitment to my clients. So I have to make sure that I guard that very jealously, right? I guard that reputation very, very jealously, and we try really hard to do the right thing.
I want to ask you, Jay, I'm sure you've got stories around this, that you were in an executive search, you found the right candidate, they got hired, and then now they became your client. That person now is now, has the authority. They need, different personnel, that type of thing, or maybe they move to a different company, like, hey, I'm going to Jay. That shows you that reputation has, goes a long way for a long time. Give us an example of that.
Oh, those are some of my favorites, right? I can give you an example of a very large, I won't call their name, but a very large hospitality company. And they were looking for a CEO to cover not only their existing business, but they wanted to do some mergers and acquisitions, right? They probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of like 200 properties across the country, but they had been looking for a year to find a CEO. Matter of fact, the COO was performing both as a CEO and the COO at the same time, burning him out. We were brought in to conduct a search. We found the guy, brought him in from another company, a Marriott corporate company. We recruited him out of Marriott to come in corporate to take over this hospitality company. He comes in and just does a bang-up job for these guys. Bang-up job. They absolutely love him, right? And as a result of that, that relationship that I still have today, we have placed a COO, we placed a treasurer there, we have placed numerous and sundry director level and management level people within this very large hospitality company. And there's only one retained, engaged firm that this company uses today, and that's my company. And I could give you story after story of that. And I could give you story, another story that we came in and kind of cleaned up a mess with the company. We had a company that basically was a manufacturing company, and they had hired a CFO. Okay, CFO that they thought had a CPA, that had a lot of experience in manufacturing, had done all of these things. They hired this guy, they brought this guy in, and then within a year of them bringing him in, they're getting these letters from the IRS saying that they're being investigated for this, or tax issues because they hadn't paid their taxes, they hadn't filed on time, and all of a sudden they're getting all of this stuff from the IRS. So they bring us in and say, okay, what's going on with this guy? I do a real short search on the guy. I find out he doesn't have a CPA. He doesn't have an accounting degree. He's got a degree in business administration, but he has never done anything at the CFO level that would have provided him the experiences to be successful in this company, right? I give him this information. They terminate the guy, and we bring in a guy who's actually a CFO for a manufacturing company, one of their competitors. We got one of their competitors, CFO, CPA, 2 master's degrees. He comes in, he writes this company, and these guys, again, there's only one staffing company today that they do retained searches with, and that's me. But I can just tell you how when you don't do the due diligence and Bob comes in and you like Bob and you shake Bob's hand and he's a nice guy and say, let's hire Bob, but you haven't done the due diligence, that was what happens to you. That guy, because of his lack of experience, almost took that manufacturing company out.
Man, that's a heck of a story.
In a year.
That is one heck of a story. You got to do your due diligence. You don't know who you're dealing with. You have stated some valuable things that are important, because it's not just about, as they say in cybersecurity, you trust, but you verify.
Trust but verify.
You have got to verify, because if they've got that much authority and they can do certain things, if they're not qualified, well, yeah, of course, they can wreck the ship. So you've got to make sure you know what you're doing. This guy was
signing documents as a CPA, and he didn't even have a CPA.
Oh my goodness!
It was just a bad thing. But bottom line is that within a week, we found out who the guy really was. They brought us in and said, "Okay, Jay, something's not right. Can you look into this?" We looked into it, and within a week, we found out the guy not only didn't have a CPA, but he didn't even have a degree in accounting. So you have to be very careful, to the point you made.
We're going to switch the conversation a little bit. I want you to talk to our younger professionals, these early careerists. They've gotten out of school, they've gotten their certifications, they've got their diploma, they're on this track now. They're just not getting on this track, but they have goals. And the goal is to someday be a senior level executive, be a C-suite executive. What advice would you give to them to make sure that they're doing those things? Because you alluded to certain things earlier around, you've got to have a track record. You've got to have a verifiable track record. You've got to be able to state how you've been impactful. Help us understand what these younger professionals need to start doing now so they can achieve those goals.
Well, one of them is to be very intentional. And I tell that to not only, the kids that I talk to, people that come here that I'm interviewing or whatever, but I give the same advice to my kids as they're going through these corporate jobs. You have to be very intentional. You have to have an idea about what it is you want to be when you grow up. You have to build yourself a personal business plan. And I know how hokey that might sound, but you need to sit down, have a quiet moment, have a conversation with yourself, and put it down on paper to say, these are the things that I want to do. So when things start to waver or you start to go through these cycles, you don't lose your focus. You don't say, okay, you don't get off the path. And that's what happens a lot of times that I see, is that something happens and throws somebody a curve and it takes them off. It takes them off the big picture, right? That's the thing that one of the things that I would say. And then another thing that I would say is that we have this feeling that, hey, look, we want to be able to not look at the price tag on things that you want to buy, right? You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly. You want to walk up to something and you want to see something that you like, and you want to not even have to look at the price tag. You just want to pick it up and, hey, look, this is something that I want. You can't have that mentality if you're looking at the clock. If you don't want to watch the price tag, then you can't watch the clock, right? I believe in work-life balance. I understand that, but you still have to put in the work. And you really still have to put in the work. And part of being able to have that ability to not look at price tag is ignoring the clock and putting in the time and grinding.
Grinding, man, that is so important. And I like how you said about you can have failures. This is life. As they say, life be life. What does that mean? I mean, things happen that you did not expect to happen. You might have been, fantastic in a role. You just slaying it, right? And then you get to another role and it just slows you all the way down. Or you don't have the right fit. It's not the right culture. You're not.
The mentor is gone. Yeah.
Mentors. And I was going to go right to that. So somebody has got to, this is another thing. Somebody's got to believe in you. Take a chance on you. Because you may have, you know what? I don't have the numbers. I don't have the educational attainment. I don't have this or I don't have that. I'm not the pedigree, so to speak. However, as a lot of people know, you can take someone who's just raw talented. They have the passion. They have the moxie. They have the go. You are a business owner. I'm a business owner. You're a CEO. You have to vet everybody that comes in. And I'm sure you've seen this. Guy comes in, he looks fantastic. He's got the right car, he's got the right look, he's got the right suit. Look at his resume, it's clean. And he just seems super perfect. And this other guy walks in and he's just not as good, does not appear as well. However, he starts to show you the passion and the abilities and the know-how and the moxie, what it takes to actually be successful in this business. Talk to us about that.
Man, I always say the guy that you described is a guy with a lot of potential, right? Potential. He's got potential. He's tall. He's good handshake, good, nice smile. Can drive a golf ball a mile. You play golf with him. He's a great golfer, all of that. That just means he's got potential. It means he hadn't done anything yet, from my perspective, right? I would take a grinder every time. I would take a kid that has a chip on his shoulder, that has not had the opportunity, that is looking for the opportunity, that understands that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and is able to get up, dust himself off, and start over again. Right there, I see it all the time. I see the kid with potential, the kid with the pedigree, and I've seen the junkyard dogs. Right? Yeah. Give me the junkyard dog every time, and perhaps because it's me. I am a patchwork quilt of a bunch of little teeny pieces that a bunch of people put together, right? That's who I am. And a whole lot of people poured into me and invested into me to make me who I am. And my job or my obligation, not only as a business owner, but as a person in this community, is to do the same thing. I need to pour into that junkyard dog, that Jay Reynolds that's trying to find his way, right? To mentor that person, to give him opportunities, to pick him up and dust him off when he needs that, or to kick him in his butt when he or she needs that. That's what we need to do, and that's what we need to do as a. I don't mean to make this a Black thing, but as Black professionals, that's what we need to do in order for us to build our communities, and build legacy business. I truly believe that, and I've seen the good golfers, but I've seen the junkyard dogs, and I will tell you this: most of the people in my office are junkyard dogs.
Yeah, you've got to have drive, depending on the job, what it takes, what's necessary, and know how to gauge talents. And I know in your business that you've seen a lot of talent that's come through your doors that you recommend to certain individuals. You need to understand the cultural fit that they're looking for. What does it take to really be successful? Because at the end of the day, it's your reputation. That's your brand. That is your brand, is your reputation. Is that what you say about yourself? Is what others say about you. Right?
Absolutely.
So before I leave you, I'm going to give you the mic. I want you to give us just whatever we have not talked about, I don't want to leave anything on the table. We know you're a Saints fan. Anybody who's a Saints fan understands. We understand
diversity. Adversity. Adversity. We understand adversity.
Exactly. And yet you still go to the game. So some people, I believe. I still believe.
Hey, man, and that means if I got to get on a plane and go see the Saints play, I'm going to get on a plane and go see the Saints play. That's the way that works. Win, lose, or draw. It doesn't matter. And the thing that I would say is that I got 2 points that I want to make. One point is to entrepreneurs, guys that are out there building their businesses today, right? I've done this for a long time, and I have gone through the ebb and flow. I went through 2008 recession. I went through COVID-19 and the recessions associated with COVID-19, and we got through them both, right? We got through them both, and we gained traction coming out of both of those, meaning that I was stronger than I was, stronger coming out of those two events than I was going into them. And maybe just an attitude, not necessarily in dollars right away, but definitely an attitude and experience. What I would say to people is this. You're going to look at a lot of successful people out there and think that they haven't gone through anything. That's not the case. They've gone through some stuff, right? They've gone through some stuff, and they had maybe even doggone near filed for bankruptcy or something, or had to sell something or whatever. You don't know what they've done in order to protect and grow their business. But I promise you this, that most small businesses out there have gone through some stuff. So take the punch to the stomach, whatever that punch to the stomach is, and keep rolling, because you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. The nenext point that is to entrepreneurs that are building their businesses that are trying to say, hey, look, am I making the right decision? Because I've been there and done that. The other thing the point that I would make is to millennials that want to build their own business as well. But I want to take a slightly different approach to that. Everything that I learned that I was able to pour into my business in the very beginning came from the stuff that I learned in corporate America. Do some time in corporate America. Understand what a P&L statement is. Understand what a balance sheet is. Understand how to build a business plan. Understand how to conduct yourself and to sell your point of view in a corporate boardroom or a meeting room or something like that. Understand what it means to deal with the political landscape that we all have to deal with. Understand about what emotional intelligence is. But I learned all of those things from spending 16 years in corporate America, trying to go up to that learning curve and these, the different positions in corporate America. So at the end of that 15, 16 years, I'm not saying you have to stay 15, 16 years. That's a long time. And I'm a dinosaur. We did that back then. You don't have to, but spend some time to learn some stuff that you can pour into your business and build a business that's built on solid foundation versus a business that's built on sand. That's not going to withstand any adversity, right? If you build your business on solid foundation, it'll stand. But if you build your business on whims and ideas and social media, my expectation is that it will not sustain itself. So those are the 2 points of light that, if you would, 2 things that I would leave you with.
Man, those are 2 great points of light. That the adversity piece, and I've seen that myself when people are going on this entrepreneurial journey and thinking it's a get rich quick type of thing. And it is something that you're going to have to pour into. Even if you did get money real quick, can you maintain it?
Right. Don't spend it all. God knows you spend it all.
No, well, you see a lot of athletes and whatnot. When you're a 20-year-old, I appreciate some of these athletes and being able to hold on to money, because I can't imagine if I'm 24 years old, somebody gives me millions of dollars, that I'm supposed to just be, very disciplined about and be responsible. That's not it's not that easy. I remember Shaq talking about he spent $1 million in one day, and that type of thing. But he had to look at his own stuff, all right, I need to take this back. Now, he's a world-class athlete. Not everybody's a world-class entrepreneur. And what you can afford to do, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to really think through things. You brought up some other good points about having the right mentor. Someone told me this, and I still, to this day, and I want to say it on the show right now, it's so important, that you are in the position to be a mentor to the person you were 10 years ago, 5 years. And you need someone who's you know what, if I'm starting on this journey, if I was opening an executive search firm, I would be seeking out a Jay Reynolds. Say, Jay, just need to pick your brain. This is what I'm doing it 6 months, a year. I'm scrambling. I'm a hunter. I'm grinding. But I know you've been in this business 20 some odd years. You got 20. So I was like, Jay, help me. Just give me a half hour, give me an hour of information that you're like, look, you need to know how this, and this. And when you've done this, and this, call me back.
Call me back. Yeah, that's it. Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth. There are people that I try to invest in, and they come to me and say, X, Y, Z. I said, well, look, these are the things. You do this, this, and this. Then come back and talk to me some more. But hey, don't come back unless you've done this, this, and this, because I know that you need these things done in order to be successful, right? And hey, man, I've done this for a long time, and I'm still seeking out mentors. Bill Picard, man. Anytime Bill Picard is around, I want to talk to Bill Picard. Anytime he's around, it's like, oh my goodness, man, Bill. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. People don't know Bill Picard is a multi-millionaire, ran automotive parts business in Detroit, lives down here in Palm Beach now. I've talked to him myself. Great individual, wealth of knowledge. And a lot of times it's no nonsense stuff. It's not
absolutely.
Basic blocking and tackling. Did you block? Did you tackle?
Yeah. Bill is that way. Say, hey, look, man, he'll tell you. He'll tell you really quick, And
now, we can't get off this show without mentioning Dexter Bridgman. And the reason I bring up Dexter, because Jay, some people may not know, my audience may not know that Jay also has his own show on the Miami media. I think it's MIA Legacy. Talk to us about the show a little bit.
Hey, it's called The Business of Black Business, and quite frankly, it's a baby for Dexter and I, and purely because of the fact that we were sitting around one time talking and saying, hey, look, when I was building my business, I had nobody to talk to, nobody to give me advice, nobody to help me to find money, nobody to help me find staff, whatever, or to get out of my own headspace, right? So we built this show called The Business of Black Business, and we bring on entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, all kinds of folks that talk about how to go about building your business, and also giving them some a proof source to say, hey, look, I did this. I did this, and this is who I am, and now I'm making millions of dollars, and you can do it too. And the show has been around for about 2 years. We started on YouTube, only doing YouTube, and now we're on the WB on TV on Sundays at 1:00. Every other Sunday. So we probably get somewhere in the neighborhood. Right now, I think we're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of like 400,000 views or something like that. But
that is awesome. That is awesome. I love to hear that. And for our viewers, they got to know how to contact you, Jay. What's the best way?
Hey, you can. My website is WCCstaffing.com. The name of the company, again, is WolfCreek Consulting. And again, WCCstaffing.com. My email address, if you want to email me, is jay@WCCstaffing.com. And Grant, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share. It was a really good conversation, and you do a really good job of this interviewing process. I'm learning from you. So thanks very much for having me.
No, pleasure is all mine. I've been on Jay's show, and it was fantastic about a month or so ago. And I thank you for being on your show as well. And I encourage your entire audience to tune in to all of Follow the Brand. You can tune in at www.5starbdm. That's number 5-star, B for brand, B for development, Masters.com. This has been wonderful, and I will see you on the golf course, my man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thanks for joining us on the Follow Brand Podcast. Big thanks to Full Effect Productions for their incredible support on each and every episode. Now the journey continues on our YouTube channel, Follow Brand TV series. Dive into exclusive interviews, extended content, and bonus insights that will fuel your success. Subscribe now and be a part of our growing community, sharing and learning together. Explore, engage, and elevate at Follow Brand TV series on YouTube. Stay connected, stay inspired. Till next time, we will continue building a 5-star brand that you can follow.